Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning, babe. We didn't cuddle this morning.
No, I was really asleep and you just left.
Well, I was trying to make breakfast. We got lots of stuff going on today.
Yeah.
We're having a friend date, a play date.
It's your friend. I don't know if it's my friend yet.
He could be your friend. He can be your friend too, Tracy. I'm not possessive where, if it's my friend, he can't be your friend. So.
No, I know that, but sometimes friends are tedious.
Okay.
Is that bad?
That's the message of this show, folks. Sometimes friends are tedious. People suck.
No. Sometimes new friends want a lot of your time.
Oh.
And you're just like, but I don't have a lot of time.
I think that's more of a girl thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do. I think that's more of a girl thing. I think guys are always a little bit more hesitant to be sort of like in somebody's face too much. They don't necessarily have the same problem. Maybe that's why girls can become friends a lot faster than guys do. Have you had a situation where somebody got super clingy and super needy early?
No, it's not clingy, and it's just time consuming. That's all. It's to have a friendship, keep up with people, make them feel like they matter to you.
Make them feel like they. But do they matter, or are you just making them feel like they matter?
No, they matter, but people want to know they matter.
That's true. They do. People do want to know that they matter.
When you're married to someone, it's so much easier because they're just there all the time. You can just look over and say, "Hey, I love you. You're awesome."
That's true. That's a good point.
I was in a group call, and people were sharing their problems. This one person shared.
Please share all their problems and their names and their addresses.
They were just sharing about how much they didn't like their partner, and bringing up the D word, stuff like that. When I hear people talk about breaking up and divorce and stuff like that, if I think about it as it would relate to me, I get physically ill.
Right.
Because I fully believe that no one in this marriage is getting out alive.
It's absolutely true. This ends in blood. No doubt.
There's no talking about divorce.
No, there's not. I actually thought about the fact that in the multiverse, in the myriad of different dimensions, there is actually no dimension where you and I are not married. That doesn't mean that there aren't issues or something different in the marriage. Maybe you're a duck and I'm a platypus. It's possible, but we're still married.
We're married in every level of the multiverse.
Every level of the multiverse. And I like the fact that I thought of duck and platypus because they seem like they could get along really well because there are similarities to them.
Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't duck and rhinoceros or something like that. So I just want to point that out. I talked to an old friend of ours yesterday, Mary Paley, and she was sharing with us a new sci-fi podcast that she has, which is more like a radio stories.
Oh, okay.
And it was awesome to talk to her as she listens to our podcast, or at least she has listened once. But we had some really, really great times. I had a email yesterday where I was, I'm trying to raise money for our new film. So I'm reaching out to a lot of people, connections and of people that I know and that type of thing, producers, whatever. I sent the email, and his response was it was just this classic, response of, you can't do that. It's you can't do that. What you're trying to do, you can't do that on the budget you're trying to do it. Not, I've never heard of that. Not, I've never seen that done. Or not even, I wouldn't recommend that you do that. It's, you can't do that. And that always gets on my nerves. Well, first of all, you hate it when somebody tells you no.
I do.
You do.
That's a pet peeve.
You do. You get really... Don't tell me no.
Yes, like if you were telling me, oh, I'm going to make this, buddy cop movie with all these explosions and the budget is $25,000. Mm-hmm. I would say, how are you doing that?
Mm-hmm. That's a much better question.
I mean, explosions cost a certain amount of money.
I'm also okay with, should you do that?
Well, maybe it's a buddy cop with 3 people. The director's going to be one of them. Mm-hmm. His dad is an explosives expert.
Exactly.
And an ex-cop. And,
right.
and they may absolutely have the ability to pull this off.
Right. The guys that ended up, I think they ended up doing like the Cloverfield movies and that type of thing. They started with this movie called Monsters. Mm-hmm. Which is a fantastic movie because, it's kind of about immigration and everything. But, it has monsters. But they were experts in the CGI. I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Those directors, that's one of the things that they're really, really great at.
I think saying you can't do that is just like useless. I mean,
it is.
It definitely means I can't work with you. If
Right.
you don't believe that I could do it,
Right.
we can't work together.
And what you're doing is you're projecting your own personal beliefs and or limitations onto everyone else and everything else on the planet. And and there's no reason to do that.
If that person would have said, how are you going to pull this off for this amount of money?
That's a great question.
Then you could have responded, well, because we have this kind of cooperation, because we have this kind of tax break, because we have this kind of that.
I actually had that email too. That's so interesting because somebody else said, my curiosity has been piqued. How do you do a sci-fi film on that budget? Mm-hmm. And I actually got to respond. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I know this guy and I know this person. And have you thought of Coherence? Or have you thought of Spring? Or the movies of Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson? Mm-hmm. Doing movies with big ideas, Pi, for example, and doing them, on a bottom tier budget.
Right. If enough people cooperate and you have enough imagination and you persevere to the end,
you will be saved.
You can do it. No, like, I was watching a TikTok, of course.
Oh, of course you were.
This lady was talking about, like, her mom. And how, like, amazing her mom was. And she could just figure anything out and do anything. And and she was like, Mom, like, you don't know how to fix that. Like, why do you think you can fix it? And her mom was like, because everything is figure-outable.
Everything is figure-outable.
Everything is.
I love it.
And I totally agree with that.
Right.
Everything is figure-outable. You have to make a list.
You got to make a list, then you got to go get it.
Well, and it's so, and I say it a lot, and it's really so dumb, it's so simple. I'm familiar with like a technique where you, in order to walk through the whole documentary process and get to the end where it's done, or
Right.
whatever goal is set out for every quarter,
Right.
they say like, okay, the last day of the quarter, we accomplished this.
Right.
And then you go backwards from
Right,
there,
right.
and you write down everything that had to be
Right.
done.
You start at the end and then you make your way back to the beginning.
Right.
Right.
And you can plot out a map for yourself.
Right.
In that way, we often think of like, okay, we need to get this film to set. How are we going to do that? What do we need to do today to make that happen? Putting together a film up to the point where you're really in hard pre-pro. Making schedules and calling people and booking cars and plane tickets. Like that part of pre-pro can get really exciting.
Right.
Like there's a certain amount of pressure
Sure.
that you start to feel like with maybe 2-3 weeks out.
There's that line that every film has where now we're spending money.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Up to that point, it's a different thing.
I try so hard to wait until the very last minute possible
Right.
to start spending the budget.
Right.
Things will come up, maybe deposits or, things need to be made.
Right.
But once you start buy on Amazon cart
Yes.
or buy
Yes.
of gear or whatever you're going to need.
Yeah, like one of the last things you do is you go to Aldi's and you spend like $350 on a Crafty, so it's just like, oh man, this is real now.
I try to hold off on that as long as I possibly can. And I also try to go onto set with as much cash as I possibly can.
I think what's really,
you don't know what's going to come up.
I think what's really interesting at this time of year, I don't know if you feel it or not, but I almost feel like I have to watch like a new horror movie every night. But we're like looking for new movies every single night, new horror movies, because it's October.
After my birthday, it's basically October. My time is being spent watching horror movies. Obsessively looking for new Thanksgiving recipes.
Okay. I like the word obsessively being included.
I want new recipes.
You want something fresh, something you want a shock.
Well,
you want a surprise. You want to awe.
Last year, we made onion pie. Remember?
Member berries?
I really liked it.
Yeah, I remember it being very good.
It's like tomato and onion that gets layered.
Right.
And listening to Christmas music.
Did it have eggs? So really, you're creating a holiday baklava here. Mm-hmm. We've got Halloween on the bottom. We got Thanksgiving. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure which one actually goes on top.
Thanksgiving and then Christmas music on top.
Christmas music on top.
Yeah, and like I'm totally ready to put up the Christmas tree.
The reason I was bringing all that up because I think about the fact that I know how difficult it is to make a film. The particular genre of horror films is so sort of diverse. You know what you don't want. And
I know what you don't want.
What do you not want?
You don't want to build up a whole night around watching a movie.
Oh, Jesus. Oh.
And be really excited and watch the prequel.
You can't blame me. You can't blame me.
We watched the first one.
You can't blame me for this. I got conned.
Okay, look, I was really craving pimento cheese.
Oh,
I handmade pimento. I grated the cheese by hand.
This is not my fault.
I made pimento cheese. It was really lovely. And we even got those little chicken biscuits.
Yes, we did.
I love.
We really prepared ourselves.
And then we had like, the little cauldrons of salsa you get at Mexican restaurants.
Right.
I have those cauldrons because I love them. And they're the little ones are great for like portions, right?
Right.
So like you got like a multitude.
Like if it was sex, we had really got ourselves ready. We had we had like candles up and the lube was there and we were ready to get it on.
Snuggling in to watch this movie.
That's right.
We watched the first movie at lunch.
Why are you not saying the name of the movie?
Hold on, I'm about to say it because it's like a punchline.
Okay, it's a punchline. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta build it up.
Okay, but sorry, I didn't realize. Okay, so you were saying. So we watched the first one.
I'm sitting there. Yes, we watched the first one. I'm sitting there.
Which you have watched 2 other times.
Yeah, and it's terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah.
It's also super dark.
It's so dark that some films are so dark that like you can't even watch them during the daytime.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if that's meant to be that way.
I think the first time we saw this film, we saw it at the drive-in.
Yeah.
And everything is a little bit darker at the drive-in anyway.
Yeah, and it was hard to see.
Yeah, but it's hard to see.
It's hard to see
period.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it really is.
And I'm not one of those people who's going to adjust my TV for every movie. I mean, that's your problem. You made the film, that's your problem.
You crazy people. Yes.
So I'm snuggled in.
You're snuggled.
I got my covers on.
It's true.
I'm perfectly comfortable.
That's right.
I've got like a Diet Coke.
This all happened.
I've got my pimento cheese with crackers.
You had your candies.
I have some little candies there in a cauldron.
It's such a nice little cauldron of candies.
You had like several different little candies in there.
All in there and perfectly.
Some of my favorite candy, which is Nerds Clusters.
Nerds Clusters.
Love them.
They are delicious.
I'm not a chocolatey person.
But there wasn't enough Nerds Clusters, you'd said.
Yeah, because there were a lot of Reese's Pieces, and I get really sick of those.
The humanity.
No, like I'm just not into the chocolatey side.
I understand.
I like the fruity side, the sour fruity side.
I like the chocolatey side. Though.
Well, I like sour and fruity.
You know what I did last night is I tried a Milk Dud with a Sour Patch Kid. Oh. And it created a very interesting thing in my mouth.
Well, I had a Milk Dud with some Reese's Pieces.
Okay, how'd that work?
Good.
Okay, well, yeah, those are kind of in the same family. That's duck and platypus fucking right there.
See, I'm not big on caramel.
Yeah, that's true. You're not.
So I like Whoppers better. I'm a Whoppers girl.
You know, I did not see any Whoppers.
And a Junior Mints girl.
Yeah, Junior Mints.
So I'm not into Milk Duds. Raisinets, I want to die. I'm never going to eat
I
those.
love Raisinets. I love Goobers.
Disgusting.
What about Snow Caps?
No. Only the minty Snow Caps you can get at Cracker Barrel. That's the only kind I'm going to eat.
Wow. You have very specific ideas.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't eat every candy.
Okay. So
I'm sitting there.
We got derailed.
I'm ready.
Cauldron of
ready
Candy,
to watch
homemade pimento cheese,
I'm ready to watch
chicken biscuit crackers.
The Nun 2.
The Nun 2.
Okay? I'm told it's come out on Prime.
Listen to me. It was right there. It said The Nun 2.
We turned it on. We started watching it.
And it was like, this isn't bad. Okay. The
nun went hard.
Wow, and he exploded in fire. All right.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, it's fine.
No, the nun went hard right out the gate.
It was. And I was like,
minutes.
This might be really good.
Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, the graphic t-shirt store to outfit you for your next film set. Be the person wearing the t-shirt everyone asks, hey, where'd you get that shirt? Cast and crew alike love these inside jokes and filmmaking-inspired designs. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.
Being chased is scary to me. As I've gotten older, I notice that I can handle it less.
Because you're so slutty.
What?
No, not that kind of chased. See what I did there? Chased and chased. Okay.
Oh. Chased.
I'm sorry.
Is there any limit to the amount of puns you will try to
there's
jackhammer into a conversation?
I just want to say, how often are you getting a chance to compare chased and chased? It was a rare opportunity I had to take. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I see that.
Very rarely do those two words come up that closely together.
You're right.
I like the way that you have to reluctantly admit that I had to go for
crying.
that.
Like, I'm going to cry. Because it is eliciting a very strange response in me.
It is very strange.
Which I feel weak to fight against the logic.
I love it.
And I also feel very mad.
It's my mutant power.
That it happened. 8.5 minutes in, and then all of a sudden, I think it shuts off. I think, oh, dang. What happened? I figure you, rolled over on the remote or something.
That's right. Or the dogs might have, hit the cord. Sometimes that happens. It's like, okay, well, yeah. And then...
No, it's a 9-minute preview.
It's a preview. It's not even a preview like a trailer. It's just them playing the first 9 minutes of the movie to get you to spend $20 to rent the movie.
Right.
Oh, man. That idea ruins marriages, people. Lives are being destroyed with fake previews.
I didn't see anywhere that it said it was a preview.
No, it didn't. No.
I understand.
Yeah, it didn't. No.
I understand how you could get that wrong.
I appreciate that. I felt like a failure as a man.
You were.
Well, yes. Yeah.
But you made up for it because you pretty quickly, with minimal for you lookings at trailers.
Boy, there was a lot of... you have to look at a lot of films, man. You have to look... once you're going to Tubi and you're going and looking at, the
whole genre.
Really, really,
You're the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, you really are. But I found this movie that I had seen a preview for, a few years ago, and I remember somebody saying, oh, this is a real slow burn. Oh, it's not a very scary movie. I I don't know, the vibe of it was called The Power. And it was basically...
I have no idea why it was called that.
Well, the power went out.
Oh.
See, chased. See how it works?
They would turn the power off, but that in a supernatural movie, that connotes something else.
Well, yeah, like the power that this ghost had. I mean, it was a really classic ghost story.
Yeah.
You know, it reminded me of like the Devil's Backbone or the others.
I'm not going to spoil it for you.
But it was really...
But it was like...
atmospheric as hell.
Okay, but the only thing that kind of gets on my nerves is when they really just shoehorn in a topic they actually want to talk about.
Which topic?
Different genre.
Which topic was it for you? What?
There were many? There was only one.
Well, I know. Okay. Oh, what? So it was like the abuse thing? Was that the topic?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I mean, that really drove the plot. That was the reason for, you know, the ghosts being upset.
Well, you are walking around in a hospital with very strange hallways.
First of all,
in the dark.
Hospitals at night, full on creep fest, always.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Do you know how many people have died in hospitals?
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
a lot of people.
If there's going to be something haunted, it's going to be a hospital.
That's true. That's true. If ghosts actually existed, a lot of them would be hanging out in hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I mean, that's where they died.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Why do the ghost hunters never go to a hospital? They'll go to like old mental institutions out in the middle of nowhere or something. Why would it only be the really, really old ones? Why wouldn't it be like the new hospitals? Why wouldn't, Mass General have ghosts?
If they do, I don't think they really want to publicize that.
Well, that's true. That's a good point.
I wouldn't want to have
anyway, The Power was really good.
It was like they were in the UK, and it was like they were.
It was 1974, so it was kind of a creepy. I said it was like When Falls the Heart. When
calls the heart.
When calls the heart. Yeah. Which Tracy watches all. You've watched every season of that multiple times.
There are some shows I love. When Calls the Heart, Cedar Cove, and Virgin River.
Oh God.
I love
Why
them
are
all.
you admitting that? Virgin River is just terrible.
They're all bad.
They're so terrible.
Cedar Cove is really interesting because a lot of actors I have seen come from that. They're like grown up.
Okay. What's the one where it's supposed to be set like in the 20s or the 30s, but everybody wears clothes that, they got at Burlington Coat Factory?
Calls the Heart. Yeah. yeah.
No, that's not the British one. That's not it. What's the British one?
No, that's Canadian.
No, I'm talking about the different show.
Oh, you're talking about
Call the Midwife.
Call the Midwife.
Okay, so The Power is like Call the Midwife.
That's probably the best.
That's the best one.
Yeah, because it happens over the course of a lot of years.
Yes, exactly.
And
that show. What year is it? Even in When Calls the Heart,
they will show up in non-period costumes
all the time.
All the time. Like your outfit, they would be on.
Yeah, this would be a When Calls the Heart, 1930s or 40s or whatever.
Like 1800s. I don't know. They have horses.
Yeah, they have horses, and they have clothes from Ross Dress for Less.
I'm not a very girly girl. If you were a very girly girl, I don't know how you would avoid watching these shows.
Yeah.
Because they even get to me.
Are they like romances? Are they like Harlequins kind of a vibe?
Well,
is that the appeal?
It's this thing of like strong women, actually.
Strong women. Okay.
Right? Like, but, I mean, yeah, they're falling in love and stuff, but they're like, they have ideas about like, you need to treat me better and you need to do this and that, or, like.
So women are so desperate for quality entertainment, they will watch something that is absolute shite.
Yeah.
Because it has women who have businesses.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with inequality in film.
Right.
The quality that we get served, is like Shoney's quality. Mm-hmm. It's like Friendly's quality,
Right.
We don't have filmmakers or studios behind, real women's stories.
I remember we watched this show. I forget the name of it, but it was basically these three women, and they started working at this woman's magazine. And like one of them ended up as like the co-editor by the end of it, and one of them went into fashion, and another one was like the social media manager. And it was
Oh wait, is that the Bold Type?
Yes, the Bold Type.
I like the Bold Type.
That was a really great show.
But they tend to put a little too much focus on relationships.
Way too much focus on relationships.
Yeah.
Because the girls are always like, it's kind of like Sex and the City. It's like they're always kind of obsessed with who they're going to end up with.
Yeah.
We saw another horror film called Unwelcome. And don't watch that one.
What was that one?
That one was the
the
one about
weird...
the little goblins.
Oh, God. Sometimes you put on a movie and I'm just like not going to watch it.
I know.
And I do other stuff on
But it had the same plot as Straw Dogs. So imagine if you took Straw Dogs, the incredibly problematic rape movie, and mixed it with like Gremlins?
No, what's it? Critters.
Critters.
Or maybe Ghoulies?
Yeah, Ghoulies. There you go. Ghoulies or Critters with Straw Dogs. Okay, Sam Peckinpah, incredibly problematic film. And then we tried to watch this thing called Appendage, and it had a ghoulie too.
Yeah.
What's the deal with all the ghoulies?
Okay, when they're little things that like slice your feet, that's scary.
That is scary. But when they're like talking like, you are when they're like that, it's just like, that's not scary.
That
you know what it reminded me of? Do you remember those balls in the 90s that looked like little monsters?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Were they called monster balls?
Yes, they were called monster balls. The balls in the 90s that look like monsters were called monster balls. You're absolutely correct about it.
I should be in a boardroom coming up with names for things.
So you see, what I got at this idea is they're balls. They look like monsters, but I haven't come up with a name yet.
How about monster balls?
That's it. We're gonna make $1 million.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, and it was just
we need to end the podcast so you can start cleaning the house for your friend.
God, yes.
Your friend.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, my friend who's coming, his name is Lakota. He's a fan of the show. He listens to the show.
Do you just really invite people over if they're your fan?
Yes.
So you're never going to get invited if you're not a fervent fan.
If you really want some Korean fried chicken, let us know that you listen to the show, and we will bring you over.
You need to like and subscribe and heart and follow. And
exactly, and we'll give you Korean fried chicken. It's a pretty good deal.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow. Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, comfortable graphic tees made by and for awesome filmmakers to wear on set and off. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.